Hello, everybody, and welcome back to CK Café. Hi.
Hey,
How you doing?
I'm doing really well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great. And how are you doing out there, listeners? We're so happy to have you here again on the CK Café.
Yes.
I hope you're drinking
indeed.
some coffee or some tea, some matcha, maybe a Celsius.
I think I'm drinking a Celsius in this episode.
I think I am too.
Today
we have an amazing, my favorite adjective, amazing guest, Alexis Yulo Hoffman, who is a wonderful costumer, wardrobe professional in this amazing, crazy industry we call entertainment. She works in film, she works in theater, she works in fashion, she does it all. And she's truly so talented. And in this conversation, we dive into her process, but we also dive into sort of what makes wardrobe and costumes so important for films and for theater.
Absolutely vital. I cannot stress enough.
Yeah.
I think wardrobe is, oh my gosh, just as important as the
so too.
departments that everybody prioritizes. It is so cool to hear her take on the role of wardrobe and costume design, and I really think you're gonna like this conversation a lot.
Yeah.
So without any further ado, please enjoy our conversation with Alexis.
Yeah, enjoy. All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to CK Cafe. Today I am joined by, as always, Miss Rosie Dean.
Hello.
And also Alexis Yulo Hoffman. Hi. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having
We
me.
appreciate you being on. So tell us a little bit about yourself and about what you do and your craft.
Okay, well, hi, I'm Alexis Yulo Hoffman. I am a costume designer for film and theater. Yeah, I mean, that is what I do.
That's what you do.
That is what I do.
I love it.
It's kind of, it's still like shocking to me that I
Yeah.
can say that.
Yeah, I get that.
Was that always your dream?
So I actually started off in fashion.
Okay.
I started sewing when I was about 2-3 years old. So I always joke that I was like meant to live a life in fashion because I was born on the first Monday in May, which is Met Gala Day. Yeah.
Love
So
it.
I always say like
Whoa.
this was forced upon me in the
Yeah.
best possible way.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love
great.
that. Okay, so you always, I sort of growing up, you wanted to be like, what, a fashion designer?
Yeah. When
Okay.
I was
That's amazing.
5, that was what I wanted to do. So the story of how I first got into fashion is kind of fun.
Oh, tell.
I was flipping through channels on TV because we still had cable back then, and I landed on an episode of Project Runway, and I was like, I could totally do what they're doing. I was like, this is what I want to do. So I locked myself in my basement, and I made a dress out of paper, and I can send you guys the photo later.
Oh my gosh, please.
But my parents thankfully took me seriously, and they were just like, what kind of kid does this? So they put me in fashion classes. So I started like hardcore being into fashion when I was 5. And then I really wanted to do bridal when I was growing up.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And then one day, I think I was like maybe 17. So after doing it for like 12 years at that point, I was like, I'm tired of this. And I kind of just like scooched my way over into costume design. And I'm just happy to be here ever since.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like costume design is so interesting because it's one of the few jobs that really does blend another world in being the world of fashion, right? Because you have to be very knowledgeable in not just with trends, but also like with periods of time, you know, and just understanding like, okay, yeah, in the 90s, this was popular because of this reason. And how does this now inform the characters that I'm dressing, you know?
Yeah.
Wow, that's so true.
Yeah, you have to be really well versed. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of wardrobe people who, I think don't have that knowledge and don't have that desire to be in the fashion world at all, or have that interest in the fashion world. And I find that that's a kind of a disservice to them.
Yeah, I
because,
mean,
it's tough.
For me, I always say that the biggest difference between costume design and fashion design actually isn't so much history and research. I think fashion design has a lot more of that than people would expect. I would say it's probably literary analysis, because as a costume designer, maybe not so much if you're a wardrobe supervisor or a dresser, but if you're like, the one being handed the script, you have to understand the script. You have to be able to read it, see the characters. And then on top of that, you have to be able to have enough literacy to talk to the directors, producers, actors, and just kind of create this entire world from scratch.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such an interesting way to put it.
So when you're approached with a project, you read it, you pop off with the literacy, reading, analysis, all of that. That's probably a lot of work. And then where do you go from there? Because as an actor approaching it, it's the same thing. You read it a bunch, you analyze it, you figure out what you can bring to it. And then do you go into sketching, or what's your next step?
It depends on the project. So what I normally do is, before I sign a contract, I ask for the script. If they'll let me have it, sign an NDA, whatever I need to do.
Yeah.
I'll read through it. I'll probably read through it 2 or 3 times before I agree to it. After I agree to it, I read it again, and then I read it again, and then again.
Oh my gosh.
And I would say on average, I probably read a script, I would say 6 to maybe 10 times. And then, I personally, I'm more research heavy. So I'll come to the table with basically a map of how this is going to go. These are how many characters we have. These are their names. These are the locations. And these are how many costumes they need. This is for costume 1, 2, 3, 4. And I work more analytically, which is kind of funny considering my background is in fashion. So you would think I would have so much fun just sitting and sketching all the time.
Yeah.
I actually don't get to sketch too often, at least on the projects that I've been working on recently, because once again, on the projects that I've been working on recently, most of our things are shopped. So if I'm making something, building something from scratch, I'll totally sketch it. I'll get approval.
Yeah.
I'll be like, is this what you like? Is this what you want? What changes can I make? But if I'm, doing something that's more modern dress, it's going to be more of these are mood boards. I mean, I do mood boards for every project, but if it's modern dress, I'll be, these are the mood boards. Do we like this? What can we change? And then from there, we'll kind of tweak it a little bit, and then I'll start shopping. If it's something that I have full confidence in, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, but I'll totally just buy it on the spot and be I can return it later, or I'll resell it and make us some money. But there are also things where I'll send a photo to the director, the actor, whoever I'm working with, and be like, how do you feel about this piece for this character for this scene?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Because I was thinking I guess I didn't think about sketching from the point of view of primarily bringing an article of clothing into existence. That makes the most sense because it doesn't exist yet. So you have to draw it versus these clothes that you're going to source already being out there and just piecing together pictures and putting together mood boards. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I mean, how do you feel when you're shopping for stuff? What's the, I guess, what goes in through your head? Are you thinking of color? Are you thinking of textures? Are you collaborating with camera departments and lighting departments to really sort of understand? And I mean, I guess for theater, same idea. Are you having those early conversations with the design teams of sets and lighting and all that stuff?
So it's very different for every project, especially between film and theater. A lot of what I do shopping wise is when it's all script analysis. When I'm first breaking into it, it's this character feels like this color to me. What do you think? It's all just about conversations like this. Just here, this is what you're doing. How do you feel about this? And I mean, it depends on the project. So when I am working in theater, I harass the lighting designer. I will talk to them nonstop. And I'm lucky to have a lot of the projects that I've been on. I've already known a lot of people that I'm working with. So for example, I just did a musical production of Once up in Connecticut at a theater called Town Players of New Canaan. And I've worked with our lighting designer both as a lighting designer and as an actor before. So it was one of those things where we didn't talk much, but we knew exactly what the other person was thinking. and the photos turned out, or the production turned out stunning. All the photos of it look great.
That's great.
But like that's a great example of like why it's fun to work with people that you've already worked with before, because then it kind of, you know what to expect, you know where you're gonna go. Something that I think a lot about when I'm working on film, I'm not sure if other costume designers think about this as much as I do. I would love to know if they do. I kill myself over sound design.
Okay.
I'm like, where are we hiding this mic? And that's
Sure.
something I think of when I'm designing, which is probably not something that like I'm probably supposed to be thinking about lighting, but I'm always really concerned with how do we hide a mic pack in this?
That's so funny. I thought you were gonna say like, how does the sound bounce off of this fabric?
That too.
But that makes that too.
That too.
I guess also how noisy is the clothing.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
the mic pack makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Oh,
That must be a nightmare.
Okay, this is also might be bad, but I did this feature film once, and I had this character in a long robe, except the set design ended up being carpeted, so you could hear the robe like dragging, and it was so staticky, and like it was bothering me so bad. I just bent down with a pair of scissors and I chopped off the hem.
That's so
and I hope that the sound designer didn't hate me after doing that. He was definitely not happy with me with the sound going through at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then
But you
another
problem solved.
It's not. No, that's me, and I shouldn't say that. I was gonna say it's not that hard, but like.
No, but it is. It does take. I mean, I think that's the thing about wardrobe is like it's not just. I think a lot of people think that it's something that you just like plan for, and then people get dressed, and it's like great, now you're done, and then you just sit there and wait until they're ready to take off their clothes and put on their normal clothes. And I think like it's so much more than that, and especially in film where like you're watching every second of that moment play out. I mean, you never know what you're going to need to change with wardrobe, how that's going to expand, how that's going to change throughout this. I mean, people might say, oh, I don't like how the light is hitting this color shirt, or I don't like how it's hitting this hat that we chose or whatever. So yeah, it does take a lot of having to adapt.
Yeah, it's so much about adapting. I mean, I like keeping extra pieces on hand, especially when that happens. And they're like, we don't like this color, or, we need a new hat, we need a new belt. And maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but to me, sometimes it just feels like this is clothing.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it's a costume, but these are people. Like, yes, they're characters, but they're real people. And most of the projects I work on are what I call like modern dress, just regular everyday clothing. And it's like, when this person wakes up, what are they throwing on from their closet? Like, you can't treat this too much like, oh, it's a delicate costume and we need it to be perfect. Like, sometimes maybe this is bad. Sometimes I just like throw stuff around and then it's like wrinkled and I'm like, this is perfect. This feels right.
It has to be lived in.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think especially in film, unlike theater, where theater maybe has to have more flexibility. It needs to be something very specific for the stage because it's a little more active and you have to wear it sometimes throughout the entire duration of a show. I mean, I think with film, it has to feel, especially if it's modern, it needs to feel real, or else we don't believe it, right?
Yeah.
Like it needs to feel
But it's so interesting because like approaching that idea from like an acting perspective, when I speak, I like move my eyebrows a lot and I like flare my nostrils, and I have a very expressive face that I've been told by acting teachers I need to like tone down when I'm on screen. And I'm like, but shouldn't it feel real? Like, shouldn't I just do what I naturally do? And they're like, no, but it's distracting on screen. So sort of in that vein, is there anything that we do in like natural, the way that we dress and like the way that our clothes drape on us, that feels like natural to life but reads distractingly on screen? And like, do you ever like notice, like, I don't know, do you ever notice things that like shouldn't look weird but do?
Okay, so that actually is great question.
Oh, thanks.
I think my biggest pet peeve, which I'm sure I'm having that issue right now, is clasp of necklace being in the front. I think about it all the time.
Because it happens.
It happens. I mean, my necklace every single day.
Yeah, just falls
and
out.
I have friends who come up to me and they'll fix it and I'll be like, great, but like, what happens if you do a take and it's in the front? Like, then it's got to be in the front for the next take and the take after that. My little secret is I like to put a dab of eyelash glue on the back of the necklace, up in the very back, to like hold it in place. And if the actor isn't too sweaty, it stays on for a while. And it comes off with makeup remover. It doesn't damage the necklace. But
what
like
a great little hack there. Oh my goodness.
That's a great hack.
So like in real life, you know, if I'm going to like something big where I know a lot of people are going to be talking to me and like I need to look put together, I'll do it too. But like everyday life, absolutely not. Like that's an extra step to your routine.
Yeah. Oh, but that's such a good hack for like, for
That's such a good answer to my question too, because that's like exactly it. It's like, yes, this would happen in real life, but it's just distracting to look at.
Yeah.
Unless your character's like disheveled by default, and that's like a thing, is that their clasp is always at the front. But then those little things have to become intentional choices, right?
Well, okay, so like, can I talk about like other
film,
TV stuff?
Yes, please.
So the summer I turned pretty. In like one of the last scenes, when, spoiler alerts, sorry if you haven't seen the show.
Go ahead,
when Belly is running to the train to catch Conrad, her necklace is flipped backwards. So the clasp is in the front and the infinity sign is in the back. And like the first time I watched it, I was so angry. I'm like, guys, like I'm not a big fan of continuity. I hate doing it personally, but I'm like, why was no one watching for this? And then on the second time watching it, it was like, oh, like maybe this was done purposely. So that way, like, it's a big reveal, like she's wearing his necklace. But like the first time I watched it, I was like, oh my God, like there's a clasp in the front.
Yeah.
But no, it was probably like an intentional choice, and it's not something that you would think about until you're actually in it.
Yeah.
And unless you're like very hyper aware of clasps on necklaces, which you are, the average person probably wouldn't notice.
No, but it's those little things with wardrobe that you can do that I think is so special. Like you could do little things that are so symbolic to the character that I think like other departments can't always do. You know, like there obviously you can do some things with camera, you could do some things with lighting, but there is a lot I think that like has to kind of you have to follow some sort of constraint, right? And it's like, okay, we're in this tight of a space, so no matter what, this is kind of the way we have to do things. But with wardrobe, because it's on somebody, you have a lot of freedom to kind of dictate what that character is going through and give a visual representation of it through the wardrobe. I think that's great. I think it's the coolest thing about what I love about working with, you know, anybody in the wardrobe department for whatever, film, theater, anything, is that like exploration of like finding how can we tell this story and this emotional state that this person is in, whatever that state is, through the wardrobe, through the costumes. So yeah,
I mean, so I haven't been working in film for too long. It's maybe been about a year now.
That's amazing. Cool.
But one of my very first projects, you know, color is a really big thing for me. When I was in school, I actually did a lot of studying for like color psychology. So cool. The way that like people view color, the way that different cultures view color, even just the way that like, you know, the neurons in your head perceive color. And in one of my first ever projects, it was about two guys in a car selling bootleg CDs.
Nice.
And one of them falls in love with a single mom. So we have the two guys in the car, very like similar color palettes with heavy whites and some blues. And then the guy who falls in love with the single mom, we have them both in reds at the same time. So it's like you can kind of see this invisible string connecting them before they even start talking.
That's so cool. I love that. See, that's a cool little things you can do with wardrobe.
Yeah.
That you can't. It's so hard to do with other departments.
I was going to ask about color because we love Damien Chazelle and he loves color. And I was wondering how often when you're joining a project do directors have a very specific vision about colors representing different things or characters having a color palette and things like that? Do you find that it's sort of like a mixed bunch? Like some directors are really set on a specific vision and some leave it up to you, and then if they leave it up to you, do you then get to go in and design color palettes for the characters? And like what does color do in your experience?
It's always like 50-50. A lot of the times directors will, or you know, whoever production designers will come to me with a color palette that they have in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll kind of like assign colors to each character based off of what I'm thinking. I'll send it back to them. They'll say yes, they'll say no, they'll say let's talk. We'll talk it out. I'll be like, I think that, you know, this character should be this color because of X, Y, and Z. Or this character shouldn't be this color because it doesn't make sense in comparison to this character. So like, something that I always think about a lot is Romeo and Juliet. You know, one family's always red, the other family's always blue.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think about it. It probably consumes too much of my time. Like, it's a little bit of my Roman Empire, because I always think, can you do this story without red and blue? Or is it like a necessity? And where did this concept of red and blue come from? And I was lucky enough to be in Verona, which is where Romeo and Juliet is based or set in, a few months ago, and there's almost no red or blue in the paintings there in comparison to like other places in Italy. Like, everything's pink and green. And I'm like, wouldn't it be so fun to do a Romeo and Juliet in pink and green? But it's also one of those things that, like, you know, when you talk to a director, you don't necessarily know if they're going to agree with you or if they're going to want something standard.
Yeah. Oh, that's so true. Especially with theater. I feel like with theater, even more so than anything else, because theater is oftentimes people are doing revivals or you know, iterations of a piece that already exists. And even with original theater, some people like have very specific kind of things and ideas. Wow, that's so interesting.
When you're doing sorry,
jumped in. No,
when
please.
you're doing a piece of theater that is, you know, has been put up many times before, how often do you get to go in and like completely reimagine what that world can be, and versus how close to previous iterations do people tend to ask you to stay?
So like for something like Shakespeare, I feel like, you know, you can obviously, once again, you have to do whatever the director wants. Like, it's their show. You know, if they want it to be based in the 1940s, it's set in the 1940s.
Sure.
But that's the cool thing with like shows that have been done over and over and over again, is you can actually make so many more, like, you have so much more creative freedom. Because you have this suspension of disbelief that you wouldn't necessarily have in a new piece. That being said, new work is incredible and we need more new work.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
But there's something kind of magical about being able to see the different ways that you could just reinterpret something. If anyone ever applies to a grad school program for costume design, they'll normally give you like, here is this piece of work. It's so old, reimagine it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So like one of the schools that when I was thinking about grad school, not anymore, they were doing Macbeth. And it was so interesting to see the different ways that people were interpreting it. So like someone did like something medieval, someone did World War II. And my take on it was modern day politics.
Ooh.
Which like, and you know, it's so interesting to see that the way that like kings and queens dress. You know, in certain eras, it's like the more fabric, the more money you have. In other eras, it's like, let's make it look like you have weight in certain places, because the more weight you have, the more money you have for food. Versus modern day America, where it's a lot like our president and our, essentially, for lack of a better word, like the royalty of the United States, they all dress like businessmen. Like that is our concept of like power and wealth right now. It's
a tie in a suit. Yeah, 100%.
Well, that's crazy to think about.
So when I had to redesign Macbeth, that's what I was thinking of. And I was thinking of, you know, I try to stray away from like too much realness sometimes. So like red versus blue for Macbeth is just hits too close to home right now in the world that we're living in. So like what happens if we do like green and purple instead? You know, it still gets the point across without saying anything inherently like, this is how I believe about the world that we currently live in. It kind of adds more of a suspension of disbelief.
And I think the nuance is so important. You know, oftentimes when people are iterating on something that already has existed, you know, being able to play around with not being too biased anywhere, but then being able to create something and actually say something with the wardrobe is so cool. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't do with wardrobe, or don't do it enough, is like really make a statement with like what you're trying to say, and I think there's a lot of shows right now on Broadway and beyond that I feel like are starting to dive into wardrobe in a really cool way, in a very unique way. And I think like one example is like Cats, the new Cats, Bella Ball, right? Like I think I love what they've done with wardrobe because I'm a big Cats fan. I've always loved Cats. And, you have a very traditional costume design for that show. And every iteration that has come out since the original production has changed maybe a handful of things here and there, but it's always been
overall
the
it's
same,
that same aesthetic.
Yeah, you know what the Rum Tum Tugger looks like. You know what all the characters kind of look like. You know their colors, right? But then you have a production like what's on Broadway now, and it just grabs all that,
completely
throws it out the
changes
window,
the game,
and changes it. And it's so amazing because then you can make so many more statements here. It's like, we can do an homage to the original, but we can make a whole statement right now in a time where drag culture and trans people and queer people need that sort of representation. So it's beautiful to see what you can do and the kind of statement that you can make with wardrobe. I love it. I love costuming.
I wasn't there, but you were there. You interviewed Paul Tazwell for Making Movies Today, and he was
one of
so
our social
nice.
media shows.
But he said something so cool. I can't remember what it was, but I'll remember when we stop rolling. But it was sort of about
but
that.
Paul was really he's very he was talking about how like when he approaches wardrobe, he approaches it from the character perspective.
Yes,
and I love that because he was just like, I think of these people as, he's like, these like you said before, these are people. These are whatever it is, right? Whether it's Wicked or if he's doing, we just saw a movie yesterday, Disclosure Day, and he did Disclosure Day. You know what I mean? So whether it's that or the extreme with big fancy costumes that you're building and designing from scratch, all of it is, from the lens of that character and from that person. So
I mean, personally for me, I feel like a lot of character building is in the actor too. So like, if you're doing film and TV, it's a little bit different than if you're doing theater, because theater, you have understudies. You don't know who's going on that day sometimes. So you're kind of creating this world, versus in film, for me, I feel like you're working with this specific actor and you're working with this actor for as long as they're with the show. So it's their character.
Yeah.
So a lot of it too is like, when you're building characters, how do I make the actor either comfortable or uncomfortable depending on the character?
Yeah, that's so cool. Do you have a lot of conversations with actors beforehand?
Yes, I harass them constantly.
Both theater and film?
Always. I'm like, I have email threads that are probably like 60 plus emails long.
Love it.
And the actor's like, please just shut up.
Just give me a t-shirt. I'm fine. Yeah. No, I get it though. That's cool though. I love that. I think anytime I work as a director with, the wardrobe department, I always want them to communicate with talent and like really have conversations. Cause I do think it informs, like what you're saying, it really informs the film or just the piece in general if all the department heads are really in communication with the talent, because everybody is meant to be working together. That's so just interesting to talk to. I never really think about it though, like from the perspective of what the actor brings to the character and how that then informs the wardrobe, because the way I've always thought about it is like, well, the character that's written is informing what they're wearing. But I love that perspective of, it's not just like talking with the actor, like what are you bringing to the character, but it's also like really letting that person bring to life and inform everything you do. I think it's a really cool approach.
Like, I don't know if you guys see this on social media a lot, but people who audition for certain projects who didn't get it, like right now with Obsession, seeing all the people who sent in tapes. I've seen a bunch of stuff, and their characters so different than the ones that we got. And it's like, how would that character be versus this character? And they're the same exact, words. They're the same locations, but it's just a different portrayal of the character.
I think that the example of that comes to my mind, I don't know if you're familiar with 13 the musical, but Liz Gillies as, is it Lucy? She came in with this like kind of like goth, like darker energy representation of what I think like the typical popular girl is. And I think that informed like how they styled. I can't imagine it didn't, because she wasn't there wearing like pink and like being like the typical like popular girl. She was wearing like darker colors, like and I can't imagine that wasn't something that they like worked with on Liz Gillies because of her personal style. That was always the one, because when you see other productions of 13 the Musical, Lucy's always very different from Liz Gillies. Yeah. And I that was like my first time, because I was a big fan of it when I was younger, where I was like, whoa, this is so unique. Like, she's crafted such a unique character
and
here.
Specific to her, yeah. Specific
to her, different from what would like be interpreted typically off the page. And I think that's so cool. And I think I love that that you bring the actors and their interpretations of the characters into the consideration of the wardrobe. I think that's so cool.
Super cool. What's your dream project to work on? Do you have anything that you're, I guess in theater primarily, do you have like a show or something that you're just like, I would love to work on this piece?
Honestly, it changes all the time. Like, I'm one of those people where I say every day when you wake up, you're a new person. Like, you might not be exactly who you were yesterday because life happens, things change you as you go. So, you know, my ideal project has changed so much over my lifetime. Like, obviously I wanted to do bridal when I was a kid. Yeah. I'm definitely not in bridal now, but who knows? I might do a project where I have to do a wedding dress. Like, that could be fun. I was a dancer as a kid, and I really wanted to do ballet costumes. Maybe one day I'll manage to sneak my way in somewhere.
I love it.
Or, you know, theater. I love theater. I always say theater was my first love. Like, yes, I do a lot of film now, but every chance I have to just dip my toe back in theater, I will take it. I personally think my dream project doesn't exist yet.
Ooh, great.
I don't know if that's like a cliche thing to say,
no,
but I'm sure it's out there, and I'm sure it's gonna hit me one day. And you know, just sometimes you hear like actors talking about it, where there's just this energy when you get the script for the first time, and you know this is it for you.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of just waiting for that moment, and it's happened to me before, and I'm sure it's gonna keep on happening to me over my lifetime.
Yeah.
So I don't think it exists quite yet, or maybe it does, and maybe someone's sitting in a bar somewhere still writing it, you know, like 10 beers in. This is draft 36.
Writing a play about a ballerina who gets married.
I love it. I love it.
There we go.
Yeah,
I would love that.
I have a quick question about, because like a lot of, I think people who watch CK Cafe and like that are kind of like in our circle are independent, low budget creatives. So do you find that you're constantly having, or maybe not constantly, but on certain projects, having to sort of compromise what you want with what the budget allows? And like, how do you sort of find ways to bring your vision to life while still working within the constraints of like independent budgets? And you can take your time, because we can edit out the pauses. So sorry. I know that's kind of an intense question.
Because I mean, like, this might be the wrong thing to say. Again, I say that a lot. But I like to think that I'm good at my job.
Yeah.
And I just did a TV show. We just filmed a full season, 8 episodes. We had a very low budget, like a budget of like $4,000. And we had to do 250 costumes. So.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, that one crazy, pulled my hair out. I think I lost so many years on my life. I might be gray now.
Yeah.
And you know, there are definitely moments where I'm like, oh, I wish we could have afforded this piece. I wish we could have used this piece. But it was also like, how can I cheat this? How can I find something that looks similar and like DIY it to look the way I want it to? Or do I know someone who might already own this piece and I can just like ask to steal it from their closet for a few months? I do that more often than I should admit. I'm pretty sure the outfit I'm wearing now will also make an appearance in the TV show. I had one character where, like, you know, we had, I think it was like after taking out safety funds, we had about $12 a costume from head to toe.
Wow.
So I had this one character who she's literally only in my wardrobe. Like, I think by the end of it, she had 15, 16 costumes, and it's all just my own clothing, which sucked for me because when I had to show up to set every day, I didn't have anything to wear. And like, it was like, okay, so I'm wearing this shirt from when I was 13 and these pants that like just don't fit quite right, but look appropriate enough to be wearing.
Yeah.
So
man.
it's a lot of like bargaining between yourself, the team. Sometimes you can beg them for more money.
Yeah.
I totally beg people for more money all the time. I managed to stay under budget, so
great.
I pride myself on that.
Yeah.
But there's also like a challenge to it, working with like no money. There's like you have to approach
It's
it
this
from
added
like,
layer,
how can I get this done? And I think that's one of my favorite things about low budget anything, you know, is just the idea of like, I don't have the money, so what is important and what can I make happen, you know? But it's tough.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
It's not for the weak.
It's not. For
That
the weak.
is cool.
Very cool. So tell us about some of the projects that you're working on right now.
Yeah.
Right
projects you're working
now, what am I working on? I just wrapped a musical. And
Nice.
we're still running. We close, I believe, either this weekend or next.
Cool.
I don't remember if we extended. I believe we did.
Ooh.
I have a few short films coming up. I am actually going to be working at an opera in the fall, so I'm very
Nice.
excited for
In New
that.
York or outside New York?
Oxford.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're going pretty far
Cool.
away for that one. That's another thing that I love about just working in costumes. You never know where you're going to be until you're there.
Do you travel a lot?
Yeah. I have a short film student thesis in Mexico City in
Cool.
early August, and
Wow.
I've just did an independent short film up in Vancouver a few months ago.
All over. That's
all
so
over.
fun.
Wow.
Yeah, if you want to travel, and if you if you have to hate yourself a little bit to be in costume design because this job kills you. This is one of those things that you can't do if you don't love.
Yeah.
But if you love to travel, you know, this isn't a bad job.
Yeah. Oh,
Hell
I love
yeah.
that. I love that. Well, thank you so much, Alexis, for hopping on. We really appreciate it. It's been so great talking
Yeah,
to
it's
you
been so cool.
and learning about your process. I think I think for anybody who doesn't know the wardrobe world much, but like wants to learn a little bit more, you have such a great way of approaching it. So
Thank you.
congratulations to
Yeah.
everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let our audience know where they can find you, how they can follow you, follow your journey, all that stuff.
I have a website. It's alexisulohoffman.com. It's linked to my LinkedIn, Instagram, maybe my Spotify. Everything's just on there. On Instagram, you can follow me at either ADHDesigns5 or AlexisDiana5503, which I'm sure you guys will link somewhere.
Oh, we will link it all below. Yes, we
And
will.
Yeah, I mean, feel free to like shoot me an email if you're hiring.
Yeah.
Yay.
Thank you so much.
I hope
everyone.
we can work with you soon.
Yeah.
We will. We
That'd be
definitely will.
exciting.
Let's give a round of applause for Alexis.
Yay, Alexis!
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much for
much.
watching this episode. We hope you enjoyed
Woo.
it as much as we did
Yeah,
having
it was
this
so much fun.
conversation. It was so insightful. I could talk for hours about all of this. I had so many questions, but I was like, let me filter out the ones that are going to be most beneficial to the podcast.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I think it's just like we were saying at the start of the podcast, and we said it, I think, a million times throughout, but like, it's just so cool how important something like wardrobe is.
Yeah.
And like when they do their job right, you don't even notice it, right? Like,
Mhm.
especially for modern dress, as she was saying, a lot of the projects she's working on these
Mhm.
days are. If it's done right, you don't notice. And
Yeah.
like the idea of things being lived in, the idea of things being worn, and like, I don't know, it's just such a cool world. It is so challenging. It is such a tough job that I don't know gets enough credit. But it is so vital, like you said.
As an actor, I've been on a lot of projects where everyone has been responsible for their own wardrobe and there has been no one collective wardrobe person. And while I think that has sometimes worked out okay because every individual person kind of brings what they think the character would wear, sort of like we
Sure.
talked about, the actor informing the character, I think the thing that projects that don't prioritize a wardrobe person always lack is that cohesiveness of that wardrobe person being able to come in and say, like, sort of what Alexis was talking about, like, oh, this person feels like this color palette, this person has like this fabric. You get like the overall vision is so vital to have somebody overseeing all of that.
I think you do a disservice, whether it's film or theater, anything, not having someone who's in charge of wardrobe. It's a disservice to the project.
It's just so important.
Yeah. But also, it happens, right? I think with independent film, sometimes you can't have someone. I think with independent theater, sometimes you can't have someone, and it's challenging. But I think anybody who can, if you can, hire an amazing wardrobe person. As you heard Alexis say, she's worked with all kinds of budgets, and I think a lot of wardrobe people will say the exact same thing, that they're used to working with either nothing or working with limited resources in the indie world. And I think it's really important that we as independent creatives start valuing department heads a bit more, you know, and wardrobe being one of them. I know that after this
100%.
Conversation, I think I'll always look at wardrobe just a little bit differently. So I think it's really special.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We hope you enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you follow Alexis on every platform mentioned and linked below. And also make sure you check out CK Productions NY on Instagram. You can follow our Substack as well. Stay in the loop with everything we have going on. We have a lot of exciting content coming out, film projects, theater projects, as well as filmmaker meetups, screenings.
We've got a ton of stuff happening. So check out that Substack, check out our website. You can see a lot more of everything that we are doing.
That will also be linked below.
Yes, it will be. And if you're listening to this on podcasts, please make sure that you go and give us a little review. Give us 5 stars if you really liked it, and leave us a little comment. It's really helpful for the show, so we can keep growing, keep going, and keep talking with amazing independent creatives. And that's it. Thank you so much. Share, like, repost, smash that like button.
Hit that subscribe. And shout out to our producer, Anabella.
As always, thank you so much. And our editor, Rob. Let's give him a shout out, too.
Shout out
editor Rob.
And shout out you for watching.
Thanks so much.
Stay creative, kids. Dum, 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 dum.